clear is that rates are going to increase, whether these are overhead or underground. They're absolutely going to increase, and the gentleman that asked that question earlier, I'm concerned that that wasn't made clear. So there would be probably two separate things to look at. Okay, here's the rate increase, period, the end. Whether we go overground or underground, doesn't change that. There is going to be a rate increase. And I feel like that needs to be made very clear. What could happen on your rate, on your bill, is that there would be a second line item. In other communities, they call it an underground rate. So if we choose to vary a part of this line, there would be a separate item on what that would be. And Jason indicated we're looking at an impact rate fee probably in February, a study that would give us information on impact rates, which helps with new stuff, right? Not maintenance, but new stuff. In the spring is going to be a rate study, and that's going to give us the information on what the rates are going to be. So tonight is not our end-all, do-all information. We're trying to let you know what we've been looking at. We are looking at a different place for substations. And by we, I mean them. HL and Power. We've requested that. We've requested alternatives. What are our alternatives? What gives us a second point of interconnect? What does not destroy the aesthetic beauty of this valley? What gives us the power we need for future needs? So this is information we are working towards, and tonight is not the end-all, do-all. And I am hoping that people can get questions answered, or I'm feeling that there's this level of, okay, you're not answering my question. So if that is, we may not have the answer, I guess is what I'm saying, but we want to get better solutions. I think we're all clear on that.
Can you?
I'm sorry, I just wanted to say that. Is that okay? Okay, sorry.
I just have a question. Why did Heber Light and Power go to the Planning Commission last week and have a little preliminary meeting, and then what's the next thing that's going to be happening at the Planning Commission?
So we went to the Planning Commission. We went to the Planning Commission last year.
Right.
And the Planning Commission requested some studies.
Right.
And so we got all of the studies done. Board took the time to fully review them. We were at a position where I could go back to the Planning Commission and just report on the studies. It was a work session only, just so I could go back to the Planning Commission and say, okay, we went and did the work you wanted us to do. Is there any more work you want us to do? And that's all that meeting was about.
Okay, so is there going to be a follow-up Planning Commission meeting at this?
Certainly. We have
you've planned at the last meeting to come back or anything?
Oh, no.
Okay.
I told the Planning Commission at the last meeting that the soonest that I could get back to them would be in January.
They asked for some more information?
They didn't really ask for more information. What they told us at that meeting was, when you come back to us, we want a clear-cut recommendation from your board on, what you want to do with this line. And just so everybody knows, I'm working off of, my board's given me direction to get back out in the public, and the Planning Commission was the first step. This meeting's another step on, filling people in on where we're at in the process. I'll just say we're not going to go away. I mean, we are going to continue to make sure that we get the infrastructure built that is necessary to fulfill our obligation to serve the community's power needs. And they continue to rampantly grow. There is a lot of pressure on electric utilities. They say electric vehicles are going to be like central air conditioning on electric utilities. That's just something that we've got to get prepared for. Our system's got to be robust enough to handle that. If the transportation sector turns to electricity, our system needs to be ready for that. We can't be like playing catch up on something like that.
Jason, to your point, I think it would be helpful.
Could you speak up, please?
said, I think it would be helpful for, I don't want to speak for everybody in the room, but based on the math, I know that you can't give exact numbers, I get it. But you can prorate your total number of customers that you have in your particular customer service structure, right?
Yeah.
You can prorate it over 30 years. You can give us a general comparison between 8 mil and 33 or 34 or 28, whatever the number is, less talking about powers, input, and so on, and we can look at those two numbers as far as an estimated rate increase, and then people can make a general decision about that difference. We all know that the rate is going to go up. That's a given when you build infrastructure. So if that is the case, when you build infrastructure, and I'm paraphrasing here, it doesn't matter what I say about the number. But so if you go overhead, existing stuff, easement included, as a gentleman asked, all the different stuff, and I get it that it's an estimate. I get it.
Right.
So you do that.
We did that for the board.
I get it. And so you say, okay, we're talking X dollars a month on increase if we go existing grid, existing structure, existing upgrades, existing this and that, and the other, all of that. If we bury, it's this. Because I'm still questioning the 4 to 5 times rate. I get that everybody's trying to protect themselves so that there's not a surprise. I totally get that.
Right. I think that the 4 and 5 times rate, and, you know, and that's just a difference in cost to, you know,
With all due respect, I think that when you're going through a total rural area with not a lot of impingements of what you need to do with your construction guys, I question 4 and 5 times when you're going through fields of structure without boring and all that. I do understand when you're looking at neighborhood structures and concrete and housing structures and other things and sewers and all, I totally get that. But there's got to be.
I'll just tell you, I got a hard number. I've got a hard number out of Lower Valley that went through a field very similar to the Northfield section, and they were 4 times as much.
Okay.
And that was for a dual circuit transmission line that they buried up in Teton Village. And so I know that I know our study is relatively close based on some other stuff that I've looked at Idaho Power and Lower Valley's hard costs on what it actually cost them.
But I think you can appreciate it. If you're sitting here in the room, you really want to know the end result. It would be helpful just to kind of get a barometer of.
Okay.
It's 20 a month. It's 20 a month if we just do what we do, and it's 35 or 40 a month. And you got to prorate it over 30 years. You got to add all of the new customers coming into the valley, and it just would be helpful for all of us in the room, so that then we can recommend to your board, and people can stand up and say, you know what, we should take 50% of this line and bury it.
Yeah.
And at least people can make a decision, just like they did on open space bond, to say, you know what, 30 bucks a year on 300 grand of property structure, I'm going to eat that to keep the open space structure going in less density. If that's the case, people can make that decision. I feel bad for those folks that are in lower income and all that, but in the big picture, if for the good of the community, if you spread it out, the impact is very small in the big picture of having 85-foot monsters running directly through your valley. And I know that you would appreciate that if you lived there. I live under the North Line. My house is the old barrel house on Stringtown and 5 South. I live beneath that structure. It was a little shock to me today to hear that I really have a much bigger prescriptive easement than I was told when I bought the house. So basically, you guys could go right into my living room based on the structure that's built in front of my house. So I am respectful to all of these folks in here, so I do understand. And I would just say that it would be very helpful. If I had to go, believe me, I'd bury all of them myself if I had to do it. But I would say that it would be nice for people to be able to make their own decision based on if you guys can prorate and give us that 30-year impact, and at least somebody can say, hey, I'm willing to pay that amount.
Yeah, I mean, I really think that it's one of those things where does it work out better, like the open space, for say like Midway City to go ahead and bond for $5 million and bury it through Midway City. That's something between you and your city, not between me. But that's the types of discussions that happen at our board level. Clearly there are sections here and there that people want it buried, but we have representation from all parts of the community on our board. So that debate is very heavy in our boardroom, and so I think we do have that cross section of representation on our board.
How much would it cost
to take those out?
The rate impact it's really a double-edged sword for Heber Light and Power on this one. We've negotiated a contract where it's pretty much an 80-20 split. Rocky Mountain Power paying for 80%, Heber Light and Power paying for 20% on an overhead power line. We take that underground, and now that split is extremely harsh on Heber Light and Power ratepayers. Now you're taking $200,000 a mile and taking it to $4 million a mile.
Yeah, I get it. It's the other direction.
Yeah.
It's 2080. I get it.
Yeah, and so.
But it is. But if you've got a lot of customers, and you look at that impact over higher value over a 30-year structure, the amount per month may not be as significant as we all think. So what I don't want is I wouldn't want to have anybody that was impacted on the line, whether it's me on the north line and these folks on the south line, to be the only people who are going to bear the brunt of a bearing. Because that's
It affects all of us.
that's the difference. And so
Yeah.
I look at it. Now, I know what somebody's going to say. These keepers don't have any lines. They don't want to have an increase, and I don't necessarily blame them. I get it. But infrastructure is infrastructure. Everybody's going to bear a brunt somehow. Everybody.
We're all looking at the same value.
Right. That's my point.
Wherever
If you drive to Soldier Hollow, or you go here, you go back, you are impacted by big capital. So, anyway.
My question is, at what point do you guys come to us as customers and say, here's the cost differential? I mean, is there a point in time in your timeline where you can say, we're going to deliver that number, and then there gets to be a little more robust conversation about which way we can go?
Well, I mean,
there used to be some scary
we
numbers.
did it, I'm just saying, we did a down and dirty rate study based on the underground study, and we presented it to the board. And, I had an employee come and tell me, how I was implementing scare tactics on what the costs are going to be. I'm not really trying to scare anybody. I mean, there is a cost differential in burying it, and I am fine burying it. That's not the issue. I got to get a line built, okay? And it is going to cost 4 times more to put it underground, and these are expensive dollars. I mean, we're talking overhead line, $1 million a mile, so now we go to $4 million a mile, okay? And on an underground line, Heber Light and Power is picking up the major expense on that. I got an 80-20 contract for an overhead line.
Jason, I appreciate all of that, and I understand most of it, but I think at some point, as customers, we need a comparative number to look at.
And we gave you that in that meeting.
Can you repeat it? I don't know if I've heard it myself.
Can I repeat it?
So to bury the whole line, I think we were looking at about a $25 increase.
You had a chart. She showed a chart on the screen earlier.
Yeah, it's
No, he didn't show the chart on rates. He's talking rates.
Yeah, I'm talking rates. So to bury the whole line, you're talking about $25 a month additional costs for our 12,000 customers. To start burying segments, like to bury the Northfield segment, you're talking about, you know, $14 more a month to bury the line. Now that might be worth it to a lot of you, but I'll just tell you, you know, we have literally of those 12,000, we have a good 1,000 every month that are just struggling to pay their power bills. You know, there's several hundred on our shut-off list every billing cycle, and so we have to be, you know, I as a general manager of Heber Light and Power have to represent all the ratepayers, all of it.
That does not include your growth structure. That's just current.
That's just current.
Okay. That's not bad, actually.
But you also have a rate increase coming up next year that would be effective.
And impact fees increases.
Right. That's just to increase the burying costs. But we still have a $10 million substation to build.
That's in the plan. I mean, you had that in the plan.
You got to do that anyway.
Yeah, I mean, we're looking at probably, you know, somewhere in the range of an 8 to 10% rate increase if we go overhead and build the substation.
But
So,
Jason, the thing you have to look at is that in a matter of maybe 200 or 300 customers, you're going to devaluate their property by 25%.
Yeah.
Okay? So 25%.
I'm not going to agree to that because,
What?
just because.
Maybe the power,
There's a lot of documentation out there that doesn't support that.
maybe the power company can put in the bill, donate $1 a month to the people who can't pay the bill. So there's a lot of different ways for those 1,000 people who are struggling with their bill. Maybe they're programs, state programs. But I bet if you
They're taking advantage of those state programs.
So that helps some. So maybe the people who can afford to pay their bills wouldn't mind putting in an extra 2 or 3 a month just to help the people who are struggling. Maybe you can set up a program like that. Also, another thing, where are all the people? Where, you know, how many,
where
we have
are
12,000 customers.
12,000 meters.
Where are the people?
Look at the
not
people.
here? Why are they not here? How did you notify people at this
Put
meeting?
it on Ask Midway, that's the only way I heard about it.
We put it on.
Where did
It
you
was
put
in the
it?
newspaper. We put it on.
Can you put it in the bill? Can you send it?
It's on the bill.
It's on the, this meeting
Yeah,
is on
this
the
meeting's
bill?
on the bill.
Can you rotocall them on the phone? Politicians stand.
Wear a chicken suit and get on Main Street.
Oh, sure.
We
I'm telling
put
you, it doesn't matter. They don't show
75-foot
up.
poles right down Highway 40.
Yeah. All these people that can't afford it, where are they?
Have a bad taste in their mouth because they feel like this project is state together while their backs were turned. That feeling is still around. You cannot over-communicate enough about this.
I'm not saying that I can't over-communicate enough, but I don't have an unlimited
We need to
budget
wrap this up.
to go run ads on KSL and everything else.
And you.
Tell me how we can communicate better, because I try to do that. We try to get it out. What would be the best way to get information to you guys?
Me personally, I'm on Ask Midway every day. Today was the first I heard of it.
I posted it
Because
on
of
Ask
Volt.
Midway. I posted it on Ask
And I
Midway.
posted it on Ask Heber.
I posted it on Ask Heber too, and on the Heber Light and Power Facebook page. And it's on our website.
There are a lot more people interested that are here.
Oh yeah, we have thousands come through our office, you know, all month long paying power bills. I don't think this group wants to hear what they have to say, the majority of them.
We already know.
So,
And
Can I make one
Can I
comment?
respond to that just real quickly? When I'm desperately looking at how to improve communication just in our little town of Midway, right? And we did post it on Midway's site and put it on Ask Midway, but if people don't comment or whatever, you know, it falls. So if you didn't catch it that day, it's lower down. So that's the tricky part of social media. I've been repeating this anecdotal story for a while because I think it tells a point. I talked to a previous mayor and said, how did you get the word out? And his response was a story, which was he had a homeowner call him very upset that the water was turned off. And they said, we put notices on everybody's, you know, we gave everybody a notice that the water was going to be turned off. So he took his public works guy to this man's house, and the public works guy said, remember that day you were on your porch and I came by and I handed you that notice? The man on the porch, the homeowner said, yeah, I remember, I just didn't have time to read the paper, that piece of paper you gave me. So, I mean, that was a piece of paper put in someone's hands, right? So communication is an issue. We want to improve that, and we are legitimately asking if there are better ways to communicate. We want to know what they are. We will do everything we can. We want to be transparent. Pardon me?
Tell them how much the bill will go up each month.
Then they'll come?
Oh, when we get into the rate hearings with this project, depending on what this board decides to do on certain portions of this big capital project, this will be a different group, I guarantee it. You guys all might be here, but there will be a lot of other people here that come to all of our rate hearings.
Can I make a comment?
Sure.
First of all, I'd like to thank the mayor for updating us and telling us that we are looking at other possibilities for the, you know, whether to bury it or not to bury it. I would recommend, let's consider all options and let's look at other routes. Get it out of our neighborhoods. Nobody wants the power line in their neighborhood, so look at other routes. Because
this is the issue with reciting our South 46 kV corridor, is we move it to, I mean, we have looked, and we have looked, and we have looked, and it's just moving it into somebody else. We're moving your problem somewhere else.
well, then you have to bury it. And I appreciate you considering that. And you said you considered that, so I thank you for considering it.
I don't want to leave that thought alone. Look, an idea was advanced earlier, and I know you considered it, about finding alternative routes. I think you'd mentioned earlier that as a part of that process, the substations that we've discussed here that would be maybe appropriate for that is one that you don't control. Is that what I'm hearing?
No. What I'm saying is when you pull up a Rocky Mountain Power map and you start talking about Rocky Mountain Power's infrastructure, that's all well and good. Okay, let's just say, let's get rid of Rocky Mountain Power. I mean, if everybody wants us to get rid of Rocky Mountain Power, let's get rid of Rocky Mountain Power. They're going to pay for 80% of a capital project. Let's get rid of them. They're going to go build their line somewhere, okay? They're going to go build it somewhere, and we still have to get them to build it into wherever our point of delivery substation is. End of story. Where we locate that new point of delivery substation, I have got to take delivery from a Rocky Mountain Power line.
Who's providing that power to that existing substation?
Who's providing the power to what existing substation?
Who's providing the power to the shed or the existing substation?
Those are just load serving substations on Rocky Mountain Power system. I would have to build my line to them.
All right, so Rocky Mountain Power then is providing, Rocky Mountain Power is providing power to those substations?
Yes.
Okay. And they're providing power to our substations through Heber Power and Light, is that correct?
To our substation, just to one.
Right, but you're working directly through Rocky Mountain Power to provide the power to us, correct? It's a cooperative effort.
They give us a delivery point.
Okay, all right, so they're also providing a delivery point to the other substations.
Yeah.
Okay, so why couldn't, it happens all the time, why couldn't there be a cooperative effort with the other substations, Heber Power and Light, or Rocky Mountain Power?
Well, this was discussed in 2012. We were seriously considering building our own transmission line to Silver Creek substation, trying to do it right alongside their power line that comes down from Silver Creek substation, because that was the only place I could get a point of delivery on their system. That's where their system was built out big enough to do it. So I either have to build a line to Silver Creek, okay, Heber Light and Power does, or I have to work with them to get a line in to where I want my point of delivery.
All right, so what would the cost of that be compared to the cost of what we're discussing for overhead or underground?
I can't remember the exact mileage, but I think it's like 17 miles. And I was looking at about $1 million a mile back in 2012 on the route that we kind of studied. So that's 17 million to build over to Silver Creek and basically keep them out of the area.
Isn't it already built? Isn't there a big line that you could, all you could do is fill in the piece by the dam?
But I can't.
You can't, so,
In order to take it at the Jordanelle,
yeah,
in the Jordanelle area off that Jordanelle line,
yeah.
I have to, the loop has to be completed between the two locations. If not, I have to build clear to Silver Creek.
Jason, I think if you take it from Jordanelle down to that point where that orange line comes across that little substation, you don't have to build a substation there that would generate the line. You're already talking about generating the line. Then you can come down the back side to the Midway substation. I don't see the problem in that. What's the issue with that?
I can tell you.
I mean,
I have looked at literally every scenario on how to get a point of delivery substation. And what we have is right now, what we are working with right now is Heber Light and Power's lowest cost option to get a point of delivery substation. I have to build line to a place where they have capacity to give, in order to give me a point of delivery. If we work with them to build a line together, we can complete the loop and we can build the point of delivery substation in a location that really helps the Heber Valley.
Well, I mean, you can come off a Midway substation to any place in the Heber Valley. You created the loop by coming to the Midway substation on the backside. You're already there. Then you come off to the valley. I don't understand why you have to go through the middle if you have that alternative around the backside.
It'd have to come from Silver Creek substation.
It comes from Jordanelle down the line that already exists. It bounces over to that little substation between Park City and Midway. And that line,
it's got to get to Midway.
What's that?
It's got to get to Midway.
Yeah, no, that line exists.
No, it doesn't.
The purple line isn't an existing line, and that, I think you're looking at the border of Wasatch County.
Well, no, I don't say there's a line existing from east to west, but north and south, doesn't that line exist?
No, it's a 46 kV line.
I know if it's a 46 kV line, you're going 46 anyway, you just have to upgrade.
No, that's their 46 kV line. I would have to put my 46 kV line on with it and rebuild it to 138 spec.
Well, that's
So
a heck of a lot better
maybe I
than
can
going
clarify
right
just a
through
little bit, and you can tell me if we're wrong, Jason. This is Jordanelle. This line right here doesn't exist. This is Rocky Mountain Power's conceptual map that came out of that 2012 working group, or whatever you want to call it. I think what this gentleman at the end is proposing is to make a line come from Jordanelle up here, across here, and then follow Rocky Mountain Power's 46 line down to the Midway substation. Okay, we're at least on the same page.
And it's done for me because my home's right across from that substation. But for my friends that are going to be impacted by large power lines and so forth, I'd pay that price if there's some way to be able to make that happen. And I understand where you're coming from too, Jason.
It's just moving.